What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how 5-star wide receivers run routes. We're going to be taking a look at 3 separate routes here from 5-star recruit from this past year, Travis Hunter. So I hope this video helps you guys out. I hope it teaches you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want to know the things you should do on a day-to-day basis on the field to improve your overall skills, check out that very first link in the description below for our 4-week wide receiver on-field workout plan. What you'll get access to, it's a 4-week daily training schedule with all the specific drills mapped out with sets and reps that you should do to become a better overall wide receiver. So check out that very first link below if interested, fellas. Let's get started with this video. So this first route here is going to be a one-on-one route. We have this inside shade off man covered, and Travis Hunter is going to be running a dig route. So this is a common question we get asked: how would I run this dig, especially when the DB is 8 to 10 yards off inside shade? So let's play this full speed and then we'll break it down. So he does a great job of attacking the outside shoulder and maintaining spacing on this route. So it gets very easy when you have like one-on-one situation, you have inside shade, is spacing on the play doesn't matter. But in a real game situation, if you're that guy, who wants to play college football, wants to impress a college coach, whether it's Division I college football or whether it's just college football in general, there's nothing wrong with having a goal of just playing college football. When you are trying to impress a coach, he wants to see you run realistic routes, because at the college level, they don't play around. They're not going to play with that bullshit, slow tempo. You're catching a post route on the opposite hash and one-on-ones. That's not realistic. That is not what a college coach is looking for, and that's not going to impress him at all. So this is a great job using a more advanced move at the top of the break, but still maintaining spacing, okay? Because when this DB's inside shade, he's not giving up the inside. A disciplined DB won't. If you come off the line and let's say you just attack his leverage and stem him and try to attack his midline, that's what a lot of people teach to do on this. A good patient DB will keep his leverage to the inside because his sole purpose is to maintain that leverage. He has inside leverage, so he's going to maintain the inside leverage. So as a wide receiver, we want to attack the outside shoulder. Now, this move that he does is not necessarily the only thing that you can do here. There are many other things that you can use, but this is just a great one to get space. So he attacks the outside shoulder, and you say, oh, he snaps down. Now, some people call this cut a square cut. I call it a box cut. I teach it a little bit different, but it's the same type of concept. So pretty much what we were trying to sell is an out route. You're going to be snapping down with your hips. You're breaking down, and that hip drop is what alerts this DB and tries to get him to crash on this break. Because any good DB in man coverage is supposed to be watching where? He's supposed to be watching your hips. So when he goes up into this break to do this box cut, he snaps down, and that hip drop right there is what alerts the DB. He's thinking, oh crap, a break is happening, so he's getting ready to break on the ball. Eyes are still on the hips. He's still staying disciplined. So after we snap down, we want to throw a head fake to the outside with my hips, with my shoulders, and actually stepping to the outside to make it look like I'm just snapping down and running an out route. Make him think that it's an out route. Because at the end of the day, he still has a lot of ground to cover because he's inside shade and it's off man. It's still man coverage, fellas, and nobody wants to get beaten man coverage. So if you can threaten him to that open space, that can get you some space when you have to run a route towards his leverage. When you have to run an inside breaking route, like a dig, like a post, something towards his leverage when he's inside leverage, threaten the space, threaten that space where he has to really recover to get open. And so when we throw that head and shoulder fake, that's what that DB's looking. That gets him to be a little bit greedy, and we could get some separation on this route. That is textbook right there from Travis Hunter. Now, in terms of the technique on this break, he's selling it like off of a 4-step break, right? So if you were running and you were snapping down, and let's say you snap down on this foot and running this out route, you'd probably take 2 to 4 steps, right? You'd snap down, that's your second step, 3, 4, 5. He gives this jab. What I teach to try to kind of eliminate steps on this type of move is I teach to snap down with the inside foot. Not saying go with the outside foot is wrong. It's just like one less step, right? So when he goes up to this break point, instead of snapping on this foot, I would have him snap on the left foot. He would snap, take his second step, third step, then jab with the fourth and fake to the outside. So there's 2 kind of different ways to run it. I'm not saying either way is wrong. That's just the way I teach it to eliminate that extra step. But that is called a box cut or a square cut, and it's a great move to use when you have that inside shade off man coverage. Let's play this thing again full speed, and then we will get to another route here from Travis Hunter. That is a great move at the top of the break. All right, so this is going to be him running a route against like a linebacker, right? So we get this question a lot. from guys, usually shorter. I know Travis Hunter isn't, the shortest guy in the world, but he's not the thickest guy, right? He's not the biggest guy who's going to take on, a 6'5", 250-pound linebacker. You're going to beat that guy with quickness and with using your range. And this is a perfect example of that. So let's watch it full speed. So he comes off the line and he gives this crossover move. Now, again, pretty basic move. I would say he doesn't end up getting the ball right here, but this is a great, I would say a great concept that every wide receiver wants to adopt, and I call that range. So we get a million questions about, okay, coach, what if I have, this inside shade linebacker and I have to run a route like, a slant? I got to run a route like a dig, but he's physical and he wants to get hands. How can I avoid him? Now, that's the first mistake that guys will make is they try to avoid the contact. So if you got a guy who's physical and he wants to get hands, but you're trying to run around him, that's exactly what he wants. Like, let's say Travis Hunter's running this slant, right? But let's say when he runs this slant, he just runs it. That guy's going to get hands right into your hip and reroute you to the middle of the field because that is his goal. Some defensive coordinators will teach that linebacker be as physical as possible, almost shove that receiver to the ground. Because if we can just disrupt the timing on his route, we should win. So as a receiver, we cannot be afraid of that. We cannot try to run away from him. So Hunter doesn't do that. You see how he attacks him here, but he maintains spacing. Now, I would probably like to see him close the distance here a little bit more. But at the end of the day, we have to keep that space so he doesn't get hands. If we can make him miss with space, then we should win on the route. There was we did a camp this past year in Salt Lake City, Utah, right? And there was a DB there who was built like a linebacker, if I'm going to be honest with you. But he would sit right at 5 yards. And in one-on-ones, what do you want to do as a receiver? You want to run the post, you want to run the comebacks and all that. So he would wait for the receiver to just run, but because they didn't want any part of the contact, they would run away. He would just get hands and shove them literally to the ground. If it's within 5 yards, maybe we're not going to call that, right? So in this situation, what I started telling the receivers is, hey, if he's going to sit at 5 yards, let's attack him. Don't be afraid of him. Leave about a yard or two of space. Give him a move. He ain't going to be able to recover. Because let's be honest, a linebacker type guy should not be able to cover a wide receiver one-on-one. He should not be able to hang with us. He's just not as good of an athlete. So you have to keep this range when you throw this move. Because now I could actually sell. I could sell with my hips. I could sell with my shoulders. Good head fake. We're stepping to the outside. And I get this guy to jump. And again, like I said, he's not as athletic. It's not like you're going up against a corner who runs a 4.3 40. If you're going up against a physical linebacker, a physical safety, they're not going to be as good athletes. They're just not built that way, right? Now, might get some guys out there that, are physical, but this is how you would beat that type of coverage. Do not run away from this type of coverage. Let's attack it, but maintain range. Now, one last thing before I get to the last clip is if he was like inside shade, and let's say you had to run a dig or a post, what would you do? You would attack him, but you'd fake to the inside now. You give him that crossover to the inside, maintain your range, then let's go up into the route. The tempo might be different based on the timing of the play, but you have to maintain range, and you cannot run and get too close to him. Let's play this full speed again. Great job by Hunter using that crossover and getting separation on that slant. All right, so now the last thing I want to talk about here that you see a lot of D1 guys, a lot of five-star guys, what they're able, especially elite NFL guys, what they're able to do is pair their routes together. So what does pairing your routes together mean? That means making your routes look the same. So like you want to make your post route look like an out route. You want to make your slant route look like a fade route. That's what I'm trying to get at here. And this rocker step is a great way to do that. So let's play this full speed. Now Hunter does something we call a triple rocker step. So that's like 3 hard cuts at the top of the break. So a regular rocker step. So we got this zone coverage DB, as you can see, facing the quarterback, right? Eyes to the quarterback, he's here. So if you were to run, like let's say it was a post route, what would you do on a post route? You would attack his blind spot, right? Whether that's close the distance and do a rocker step, whether that's angle your stem to his blind spot, because that's where he doesn't want you to go. He's shaded a little bit to the outside, so he's trying to force you inside because that's where his help is. Now, if I actually have to run an outside breaking route, very similar to that inside off-man coverage we were talking about earlier, if I had to run a route like a 10-yard out, like a comeback, right, where would you want to attack? You'd want to attack his inside shoulder, right? Because if you just run to the blind spot, he's just going to widen, and you're going to have no space to run that route. So you have to threaten him here. And pairing your routes together is a great way to do that. So I talked about the post earlier, right? How would you run a post? Like I said, you would hit a rocker step. You would go here. You would just cut on the first foot, 1, 2, hopefully he widens, and then you break on the post. Now, maybe I've done that a few times. Maybe that's something that I like to do on film that a DB might be able to pick up on, so he might be sitting on this type of thing. You see Cooper Kupp do this all the dang time. Watch any out route or post route that he runs. There's always a rocker step, some kind of movement at the top that can build into other routes. Because now, let's say I have to run that out route. Let's say it's a situation where I got to win. And he makes this move. He goes 1, 2, 3, and he puts the brakes on, gets this guy to sit on the post. He's seen it a couple times, and guess what that does? Because I attacked his inside shoulder, I didn't force it to the blind spot. I gave my QB space to throw me open, but I also am able to get separation because the technique was there. That is textbook right there from Travis Hunter. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. So fellas, if you want to play football at that high level, you want to play receiver at that high level, you have to learn how to pair your routes together and make things look the same. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys as usual. And again, fellas, if you guys would like a 4-week wide receiver on-field workout schedule, everything wide receivers should do on the field to improve route running, press releases, the works. Check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.